Hello, children. Today we have moved to Unit 8, which deals with very important part of our life, which is nothing but human rights. Children, take page number 223. Observe style sheet. What you see in this picture? You see various children holding flags in their hands, and at the bottom you find various hands depicting equality, freedom, hope, peace, justice, rule of law, dignity, prosperity. What all these words leads to? These words leads to human rights. That means we can say in this unit we are going to learn about human rights, under which we'll be learning A, reading Jamaican Fragment, B, reading Once Upon a Time, C, reading What is My Name. Now turn the page, children. What do we see in this face sheet? Face sheet shows us human rights, and it declares all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. What are human rights? Human rights are rights inherent to all human beings regardless of race, sex, nationality, ethnicity, language, religion, or any other status. Human rights include the right to life and liberty, from slavery and torture, freedom of opinion and expression, the right to work and education, and many more. Everyone is entitled to these rights without discrimination. Now, children, take your own space. Think of these human rights and try to answer the questions given in the page number of page number 224, and try to debate on the topic children should not have equal dignity and rights as adults. Now, children, let us enter into a very interesting story, Jamaican Fragment, written by A.L. Hendricks. Arthur Lemmer Hendricks, 1922 to 1992, was a Jamaican poet, writer, and broadcasting director known as Mickey Hendricks in his broadcasting career. He was born in 1922, Kingston, Jamaica, to a Jamaican father and a French mother. He was particularly well known for his contributions to the Christian Science Monitor, the Daily Gleaner, and BIM. He also contributed as a columnist and literary critic to the Daily Gleaner. He died in 1992 at the age of 69. Before entering into the lesson, children, let us look into the glossary. Be flanked by, to have something on one or both sides, sturdy, strong and healthy, hazel, reddish greenish brown, at once beck and call. Idiom, be ready to do what someone asks. Divine, find out something by guessing. Imperiously, heartily. Shuffled, walked by dragging one's feet slowly along. Bidding, ordering. Stride, to walk with long steps, abjectly, completely without pride, impute, claim that someone has done something unjustly. Before entering into the story, let us have some introduction to the story. Jamaican Fragment tells us the story of a Jamaican who witnesses a young white boy imposing his will upon a little black boy, and it deals with Jamaicans' internal suspicions regarding racial inferiority in his homeland. As he walks one morning, he notices a young black boy and a young white boy was dominating the black boy, while the black boy submitting himself, struggling to find reason behind the black boy's lack of resistance. The man's faith in his people was shaken for the day. Thus, the lesson brings out the prejudice that almost every person suffers from dominational issues like color, caste, sex, etc. Jamaican Fragment. Every day I walk half mile from my home to our tramcar lines in the morning and from the lines to my home in the evening. The walk is pleasant. The road on either side is flanked by red and green roof bungalows, green lawns and gardens. The exercise is good for me, and now and then I learn something from a little incident. One morning, about halfway between my front gate and the tram track, I noticed two little boys playing in the garden of the more modest cottages. They were both very little boys. One was 4 years old, perhaps, the other 5. The bigger of two was a sturdy youngster, very dark, with a mat of coarse hair on his head and coal black eyes. He was definitely a little Jamaican, a strong little Jamaican. The other little fellow was smaller but also sturdy. He was white with hazel eyes and light brown hair. Both were dressed in blue shirts and khaki pants. Wore no shoes and their feet were muddy. They were not cautious of my standing there watching them. They played on. The game, if it could be called a game, was not elaborate. The little white boy strode imperiously up and down and every now and then shouted imperiously at the bigger playmate. The little brown boy shuffled along quietly behind him and did what he was told. From the above paragraph, we come to know every day our narrator walked half a mile from his home to the tramcar lines in the morning and from the lines to his home in the evening. The walk is pleasant to him. The road on either side is flanked by red and green roof bungalows, green lawns and gardens. The exercise he found to be good for him, and now and then he find some incidents on his way. One morning, about halfway between his front gate and the tram track, he noticed two little boys playing in the garden of the most modest cottages. They were both little, boys. One was 4 years old and the other was 5. The bigger of the two was sturdy youngster, very dark, with mat of coarse hair on his head. That means he was a Jamaican. And the other little fellow was smaller but also sturdy. He was white with hazel eyes and light brown hair. Both were dressed in blue shirts and khaki pants. They wore no shoes and their feet were muddy. They were not conscious of our author standing there and watching them. What they played. The game, if it could be called, is not elaborate. The little white boy strode imperiously up and down and every now and then shouted imperiously at the bigger playmate. The little brown boy shuffled along quietly behind him and did what he was told. Pick up the sticks. The dog boy picked it up. Jump into the flowers. The dog boy jumped. Get me some water. The dog boy ran inside. The white boy sat down on the lawn. I was amazed. Here before my eyes, a white baby, for they were little more than babies, were imposing his will upon a little black boy, and the little black boy submitted. I puzzled within myself as I went down the road. Could it be that the little dark boy was the son of a servant in the home and therefore had to do the white boy's bidding? No, they were obviously dressed alike. The little dark boy was of equal class with his playmate. No, they were playmates. The little dark boy was a neighbor's child. I was sure of that. Then, how was it that he obeyed so faithfully the white boy's orders? Was it that even as a boy he sensed that in his own country he would be at the white man's beck and call? Could he at his age divine a difference between himself and the white boy? And did the little white youngster, so young, such a baby, realize that he would grow to dominate the black man? Was there an indefinable quality in the white man that enabled his baby, smaller and younger than his playmate, to make him his slave? I could find no answer. I could not bring myself to believe such a thing, and yet with my own eyes I had seen a little dark boy take orders from a little white boy. A little white boy, obviously his social equal, and younger and smaller. Were we as a race really inferior? So inferior that even our infancy we realized our deficiencies and accepted a position as the white man's servant? The little white boy asked the dark boy to pick a stick. The dark boy picked the stick and asked the dark boy to jump into the flowers. The dark boy jumped, and the white boy asked the dark boy to get him some water. The dark boy ran inside to get him some water. By seeing all this, our narrator was amazed, and he was amazed to see the white boy imposing his will upon dark boy, and dark boy submitted himself to the white boy, and our narrator puzzled within himself, and he went down the road. He was thinking, could it be that the little dark boy was the son of servant in the home and therefore had to do the white boy's bidding? And he answered to himself, no, no, as they were dressed alike, the little dark boy was of equal class with his playmate. No, they were playmates, he confirmed. Little dark boy was a neighbor's child. I was sure of that, he thought. And how is it that the dark boy obeyed so faithfully the white boy's orders? He puzzled a lot. Is it that even as a boy he sensed that in his own country he can be at the white man's beck and call? Could he be at his age divine a difference between himself and the white man? And did the little white youngster, so young, such a baby, realize he can grow to dominate black man and make black man as his slave? The narrator could find no answer. The narrator was puzzled. Are we as a race really inferior to the white? So inferior that even in our infancy we realized our deficiencies and accepted a position as the white man's servant? He puzzled. Children, here we end the lesson and conclude the lesson in part 2.